Hello, 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 mic check. Hello, 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 mic check. Hello, hello. फरमान भाई को बोलना. हेलो, हेलो, माइक चेक. आ रही है आवाज़? हाँ, मैं ही बोलूँगा तो आवाज़ आएगी ना.
of us. Some of the people are also coming from the US, and you all are really, really welcome to Habib University. So today we are having this fireside chat with JJ Zhuang, titled Human Potential in the Age of AI. I would request you all to please pull out your cell phones and scan this QR code. So this event is a very memorable event. I would love if every single one of you could share your experience through social media platforms, share the pictures, share what you have learned, share your insights. And you can choose any of your likable platform, social media platform that you would like to go with. So your engagement matters, and some of your posts could be and will be featured by Habib University as well, and we will really welcome if you do that. Thank you so much. I would now request Aksa Junejo to please proceed with today's event. Thank you.
थोड़ी देर रहने दें. Oh, okay, it's there. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome our esteemed faculty, our President Wasif Rizvi, our Vice Presidents Dr. Amir Hassan, Ms. Yasmin Banu, Shanur Sultan, our chief guest, JJ Zhuang, and of course, all the wonderful audiences. My name is Aksa Junejo. I'm the Assistant Director of Marketing and Communications and Global Resource Development at Habib University. And you might not see a lot of students. There are students sitting in the hall, but there is a winter break going on, so we wanted this engagement to be first of many more engagements that will, inshallah, be happening at Habib. And where you would get enough chances to engage with the student community, and they will have enough opportunities to learn from you. And so Habib University is honored to be hosting this event, as we have always approached higher education with a unique lens and have pioneered fundamentally new ways of higher learning in Pakistan. We are at the cusp of emergence of extraordinary technologies in this day and age, and it is indeed an honor for us to be hosting an esteemed thought leader who can expertly speak to us about these phenomena. For this to happen, we have been facilitated by some of our most profound and passionate community members, like Malika Junaid and Junaid Qureshi, without whose support, this wouldn't have been possible. And they are themselves trailblazers in Silicon Valley as well as Pakistan. And also in the audiences, we have Mr. Abu Bakr, CEO of Pakistan Software Export Board, and of course, Jahan Ara, CEO Catalyst Labs, Haris Ahmed, our esteemed community leader from Chicago, Mr. Naeem Zamindar, I know you're also here, and all of you, our faculty, friends who have joined us from different parts of Karachi. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. And with this fireside chat, we are sparking conversations on the interplay between disciplines, not just integrating machine learning, large language models, AI, and data science within our core curriculum, sciences and engineering programs, but looking at the influence of these technologies holistically on the entire structure of pedagogy and assessment at Habib University. And we look forward to learning from Mr. Zhuang's brilliant insights today. Let me now introduce to you our most amazing moderators. Ms. Munira Batul is the Associate Dean of Teaching and Learning and an Assistant Professor in the Communication and Design program at Habib University. She earned her MFA in Theater from Arizona State University, USA, where she studied media and projection design along with performance. She's also a practicing theater director and media designer. Thank you, Munira. Dr. Basit Memon. Dr. Basit Memon is an associate professor of engineering at Habib University, a Fulbright fellow. He earned an MS in mathematics and a PhD in electrical and computer engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology. His research spans mathematical systems theory, robotics, and the application of emerging technologies to solve complex problems. He's also the Faculty Senate Chair. Welcome, Dr. Basit Memon. It is a pleasure to have you both moderating this conversation, and now over to you.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to introduce a guest, and I'm going to read his bio. So we have with us JJ Zhuang, who's a technologist, tech executive, and entrepreneur. He has been a part of IBEX. Previously, he was the chief architect at Instacart. He led the company's technology strategy and pioneered the development of AI solutions that transformed both customer experience and operational efficiency. Prior to Instacart, JJ co-founded Comply and served as its CTO, creating what would become the Microsoft Outlook mobile app, which we all very readily use, now used by over 500 million people worldwide. After Microsoft's acquisition of Comply, he served as a distinguished engineer leading Office 365 app technology. His previous extensive technology leadership experience includes roles as chief architect at VMware and Yahoo. JJ brings a unique perspective to the intersection of large-scale cloud-enabled mobility applications and modern AI. He's also very passionate about mentoring the next generation of tech leaders and fostering thoughtful innovation as AI technology reshapes the world. JJ, may I have you on stage? Welcome. Okay, I have an initial question, and then Basit, please jump in. I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and it seemed that you came into tech accidentally. What's the story behind that?
Well, thank you for the question. But first, let me just say thank you, President Wasif, and faculty members, and industry luminaries, and all the students for making today possible. I have been looking forward to this chance to have a direct conversation with all the forward-thinking groups in Pakistan to talk about this really pressing topic of AI that's been on our mind for the last at least 2 years. So then going back to your question, yeah, it is an accident. I never was trained classically as a computer scientist. My background was mechanical engineering. Just by chance, I landed in Silicon Valley year 2000. And many of you probably remember that was during the time of .com. Right? And certainly soon after .com, the wave, eventually the bubble burst. So I happened to catch the wave at the tail end. At that time, I was looking to see what kind of a job I want to get in the US. And turns out that the easiest job to get at that time was to be a programmer. And even though I didn't know how to write a single line of code at that time, turns out that as long as you have internet access, you can learn how to code. It's the easiest thing to learn in the world, probably. So by accident, wow, that's exciting. And just by chance, I learned my way into it by doing.
You got him? Okay. Hello.
Just a little closer, okay. All right, I need to practice karaoke at home more. So just by accident, I got into coding, and then eventually, once I got used to it, I decided that, how hard it can be to start your own business in software. And when I landed into Microsoft, I became one of the, at the time, about 25 distinguished engineers at Microsoft. And a couple of them won Turing Awards before, and I never told them that I'd never learned the CS properly. Otherwise, they probably kicked me out of the club. But one thing led to another. A few years ago, I started getting to AI because when I joined Instacart, the business is a grocery delivery logistics business. It turns out the complexity from the point when the users go to the app to decide what to buy, to the point that the order is delivered to their doorsteps. At the time, we involved about 50 different AI models. Every single thing we did in the business is driven by AI. Even just like the simplest thing, say, if you, at the checkout, if you have 20 items in your basket, we want to give you an ETA, exactly when you get to that order, right? We can say this is in 57 minutes, you'll get that order. How do we know it's 57 minutes? It is a gigantic AI model with about between 50 and 100 features, right? Including what exactly is in your cart, because we know that picking fruits is a little slower than just grabbing a pack of Coke. And things like the available shoppers currently that's close to the store, what is their track record in terms of speed, and how many orders are also going through the system, and also how do we combine the orders together. All these parameters, all these features become part of the AI model, right? And then we can actually pinpoint the ETA to give and take about 5 minutes as a promised ETA. So this is how we build the business, one model at a time. With 50 models, you can run a gigantic business like this. So this is how I got into AI, but certainly, we all know that 2 years ago, November of 2022, ChatGPT moment happened, and that basically pulled the rest of the world into the AI world. So, now even though I left Instacart, I see myself as doing full-time AI, mainly focusing on how we can see where AI can be applied in the most effective way to change how people will engage the technology and how to influence their impact on in their future.
Very interesting, JJ. 50 different models working for Instacart. I wanted to ask about the people side of things. Are the people building Instacart adopting AI or in their practices, whether it's software development practices or managerial practices? How has those changed? How have those evolved?
Yeah, interesting question. So first of all, you can think there are two different types of AI, right? Because right now, when we talk about AI, very often people are thinking about transformers and LLMs, large language models, because that's how most people now experience AI. But there was a time when doing AI practice means that you need a large group of PhDs who are trained in doing machine learning, right? And at that time, how we organize as a company to build AI was we have about 100 AI engineers and then about 50 AI infrastructure engineers. Right? And certainly the entire Instacart team, engineer-wise, is 1,000 people. But these are the people at the forefront because building each model to solve one particular problem is a fairly time-consuming process to get it right. But I think that the world has shifted quite a bit because in the post-LLM world, there's a set of problems that can be solved with just pre-trained models. Right? So we are now in that world. Certainly, these models may not be transferable to solve every problem, but a very large swath of problem can be addressed that way. But I wonder, your question about how this work together, does that answer your question, or is it from a different perspective?
It does, and just to build up on it a bit, how do you think the practices of building software and the practices of, let's say, running a company, whether it's finance, HR, or other managerial practices, have they changed with ChatGPT?
I see what you're saying, yeah. So the change is still ongoing, right? Things are happening at every department level. Certainly, from building software, we all know that for folks who are here who have, who are in the CS background, you already know that the way we today write code is very different from 2 years ago. We used to think that, learning how to code is this kind of like a fixed process. You first learn the basics, then you gain experience, then you can do more, bigger projects, you work with bigger teams. Now, because the tool, the AI can be used to generate so much code, it completely changed the way how we think about the coding, right? So this huge impact is happening in the software engineering domain. For example, today, I'd say probably 80% of prototyping, which is the initial pass from an idea to a MVP product to get into the hands of users, the forefront of the practicing teams in Silicon Valley, 80% of that is now generated, right? But certainly, getting that into production, we all know that there's this long tail problem. You get into all these unpredictabilities, and that takes longer, right? But prototyping, rapid prototyping becomes a new, it just feels so different from 2 years ago, right? And then on other departments, let's say HR, things are happening, but not yet at the same pace as how the software engineering has changed. There's this company building HR software called Rippling in the US. Rippling software is used by many large companies for managing from the HR data of the person, performance management, all the way to payroll and so on, right? They now have rolled out a new version, a new feature. It's called talent signals. So what they do is, using large language model, they can look at each person's output. So within the period of 90 days, for new recruits, they can see what exactly everyone's doing, like how many docs they're writing. If they are coder, what kind of code they are writing, and if they are product managers, how are they, how many features have they built, right? But it's not just from a count perspective, because if you think about lines of code written by engineers, right? Engineer A and engineer B, how do you know more line is better? With LLM, now you can actually understand what those lines are, exactly what they do, and compare to others, how do you stack rank this engineer versus another engineer, right? So HR is also being transformed that way, because come to performance evaluation time, you don't have to just get feedbacks from your peers and so on. You can actually look at their output and really understand at a nuanced level how each person is doing. So those are just the two examples of the various industries, various departments, how things are moving forward.
Exciting times that we're living in.
Certainly, not everything is not everything is necessarily super positive, right? Because there's also this fear that if I'm constantly being monitored by this machine, and every single keystroke is going to go into this machine and then tell me how well I'm stacking up against my peers, it's a scary thought as well, right? So we have to do this kind of we have to roll out this technology in a very thoughtful way.
Yeah, and I think this is
Yeah, go ahead.
this is a good segue into asking a philosophical question about AI. And JJ, what are your thoughts on how can we, as a human species, retain our humanness in this age, which is evolving at an exponential rate?
That's a very deep question. First of all, let me just say that I don't fully know the answer, and also I don't think anyone on Earth knows the answer right now. Things are moving so fast, and also it's very hard to predict how the society will change in the future, right? So the only thing I can say is there are multiple aspects. First of all, today's AI, even though it shows a lot of promise, there's still a lot of time left between now and a future world when we can imagine when AI can do most of the things human can do at scale and possibly better. How many years are we away from that world? Nobody knows, because we loosely call that world the so-called AGI, artificial general intelligence, right? The definition of AGI is never clear, and it keeps changing. But however, wherever word we use it, there is this sense, with the current trajectory of how the technology is moving, at some point, AI will be able to do most of the things most people do today pretty well, right? So when we get to that world, what is humans' value? What is our role in that world? That's a very deep philosophical question. We need to figure out an answer. But between now and that world, what's the timeline? That's very uncertain. There are people like, for example, Dario Amodei. He's the CEO of Anthropic, one of the leading labs in the US building AI. He thinks we're 2 years away. But there's certainly uncertainty says 2 to 5 years, right? There are also people who think that's 10 years away. But before ChatGPT was launched, most practitioners in the AI field, if we asked them that question at that time, people used to think it was 50 years away. Now, nobody thinks it's more than 10 years away, right? So we are now shifting into this zone where we know this is definitely happening, but my own sense is it's not going to be just a single breakthrough. It's not like, oh, we, all the investment, all the brain power going into the field of AI, we're just one discovery away before that happens. I think that it's going to be a very gradual experience, and it's like, one analogy I really like is from today's world to that world, it's not going to be just a single invention of a vaccine. It's more like the cure of cancer. Because in order to cure cancer, it's not just to solve one problem. You need to solve 1 million problems. And then when you add it together, looking back, at some point you realize, oh, humanity has cured cancer, right? Getting to AGI most likely will be like that as well. So we do have quite a bit of time to figure out how we can shape tomorrow's world, and also how to get most of the people, right, especially young people today, how do we get them ready for that world? So, and then how do we have the humanness today is relatively simple, because we are already dealing with that. Because I think that everyone in this room probably used ChatGPT for one thing or another, right? It's just the varying degrees of how you use it. Now, in that kind of interaction, how do we have a humanness, right? One is we still have valuable skill set that the AI does not have. Because wherever you ask today's most cutting-edge AI model, the answer is not going to be very satisfactory, right? Even for the simplest thing, hey, I want to draft this email for this context. Please draft the email for me. Wherever the first version you get, you look at it as like, this doesn't sound like me. I certainly will not say these things this way, right? Then you give feedback, then it gives you a better draft. Then you give feedback again, right? So in that interaction, we are bringing our humanness, ourself, into the process. Right? And then, you know, if you think about how researchers use AI today, I read this study. The study is about, an economist did a study about how material scientists today use AI, right? Before AI, you know, material scientists, they have years of training. They understand how chemistry works. They understand how, you know, what kind of chemistry, what kind of chemical structure the material will have what kind of property. So that process of dreaming up new materials using your training is how people used to work, right? Today, with a trained model, with these properties, with this understanding of a chemical structure, they can generate, you know, 100 candidate material when you just specify what properties there is. But wherever they propose, you still need to use your own training and look at the proposed structure and understand which one's the best candidate, and then you can get into experiments, right? So there's this missing link between even the best AI model today and what you can actually achieve to make an impact, right? So, and in that world, because it's going to last for a while, all our training, all our understanding of the world will play a huge role there. Now, that role may be shrinking, but at the same time, we may be also figuring out, you know, what other ways humans can interact with these models and continue to sort of evolve how, you know, we use the tool.
So, JJ, picking on that thread of preparedness for this changing world, how do you have any ideas on how undergraduate education right now can prepare these students for that changed world?
Well, first is go to Habib University. That's the best chance.
Correct answer.
Yeah, you know, joking aside, I was touring this university earlier today, and I was told that there's a specific design thinking about co-locating the math professor's office next to the humanities professor's office, right? Because we live in a world that you don't just need to understand one discipline. You need to understand many things, right? In the past, why we have to make a choice to say, oh, you are a STEM student and you are a humanities student. Reasons very often practical reasons. We just don't have the resource to train everyone to understand everything. It's a limitation of faculty expertise. It's also a limitation of the time each student has for a 4-year university before they need to become productive earners, to have a career, to raise a family, and so on, right? It's not because you only need to know one thing. Now we are quickly moving into a world that may start to become possible, that each student eventually will learn everything. If we think about an ideal world when everyone can live longer, let's say that instead of living an average age of 75 years, what if you can live 150 years? And instead of going to school for 10 years, what if you go to school for 20 years, right? And then how should we think about education? Why shouldn't everyone know everything? And that's one, the condition of making it possible, right? The second piece is you truly have that need for people to know more than just one thing in order to really use AI the most effective way. Let me just give you an example. If you think about, again, going back to ChatGPT, because that's the most familiar AI interaction we have today, right? Interacting with ChatGPT, is it a STEM skill, or is it let's just quote unquote call it a humanities skill?
Everybody has a different knowledge to approach ChatGPT, so the answer would be different per person. We lost the question.
That's right. Combination. That's right. Because we were talking about the humanness. How do we bring humanness into this kind of interaction, right? Interacting with AI today still requires a lot of judgment on our part, because these models, the way it works is if you give it an input, you're guaranteed to get an output. But how you judge that output is the critical skill, right? And is that skill the way to judge, what kind of outcome this is, and how do you shape that outcome in the next iteration? In my mind, it involves both logical thinking, reasoning, which is typically what we consider a sort of STEM background training, right? As well as a different type of critical thinking that is about, the understanding of the linguistics, understanding about how you effectively communicate with the model, because we happen to choose to train the models to understand the human language, right, natural language. Why did we do that? Just a segue. It's not because, this is the only way to build an AI model, right? But two reasons why it becomes a language model. One is we happen to have the largest training data set available that is in natural language, because almost the entire world's knowledge is written down somewhere in different languages, but all human language, right? So the training set is there. How you can train the model understand our world. The other is, this happens to also be the best interface to humans. All of us can speak, can listen, right? This is also the most natural way for this AI-human interface. This is why language model exists. Now, the step further about what kind of skill set we need to steer these models, that's what we very often call critical thinking. But the critical thinking has both the logical thinking, reasoning component, as well as other type of critical thinking, such as philosophical and ethical, right? Like, math is not going to answer all your ethics questions. So the combination of these skill sets is going to be the scarce commodity in the future world when the abundance of AI is there.
Interesting. I wanted to inquire, how are we doing with time? Maybe we can.
Yeah, I think we can open it.
Yeah.
We can open the house and anybody can ask questions. Please raise your hand and a mic will be delivered to you. Maybe we take a question from you in the front and then we will go Peter. So there's the person in the blue jacket. Right in.
Need some education. Assalamu alaikum. Brilliant explanation, It's like listening a real teacher. Because I'm from New York and I often visited Columbia and my college, New York. And you see, listening a wisdom is far different from listening a knowledge. And that is what I today listened from you. I'm a physician by profession in public health and clinical, and also now directing artificial intelligence in nutritional medicine. I mean, you explained well, obviously, because of time. How do you see the artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence and deep learning will change medicine in, for example, already in radiology? It's diagnosing in fraction of a second what expert radiologists in USA would take time. So, but my question is that why we are not living a healthy life, as you said, human and machine interaction make us human. If we just, because now we are seeing by living, money has of no value. As long as you have a good health, you have a good friends, and you live life, whether it is 70 or 150, that is much better than pursuing Yale, Harvard, MIT, Oxford, Cambridge credentials and good for nothing. Can you elaborate on that? Because as we are learning, cancer is increasing, diabetes is increasing. Our forefathers didn't have it because they lived simple life. How you address this, that how AI will resolve reducing different chronic disease and infectious diseases by having a better lifestyle? I'm Dr. Ali Imran, and I have taught in USA. I've taught in many medical in Pakistan. Right now I'm a director, and seeing your humbleness, make me not even to tell. Just beside saying I'm Ali Imran, that is what they used to say in USA. They don't even mention their professor at Columbia.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank. That's such a great honor to hear these words. Thank you for the kind words. I'm not a medical expert, so I can only try to use my imagination and my personal experience to relate to that question, right? So I think, even though everyone's really thinking about how AI will change our world tomorrow, the frequent answer I get when people think about which field will be impacted the most, one of them is health and medical and biology. The reason is because there are many reasons. One is we are all biologies, we're all organisms, right? So it matters most. All of us want to live a long and a healthy life. So the desire is definitely there. Most of the energy and resource will go into that field. So that this kind of revolution is inevitable. And I earlier said that imagine a world when humans' average lifespan is 150, right? It's not a far-fetched goal. It is very likely to happen. Whether or not it happens in our lifetime, it depends on which age we are at right now. I'd like to think that I may still have a chance, but may not. But regardless, today's younger people, they will have a chance. And then there's also this other thinking about the so-called singularity or the escape of velocity, right? Because if people do live to 150, then every year's new discovery may prolong their life by 2 years. At that time, how long people live will become more a choice rather than a restriction, right? So things will happen very fast. The other thing is, if we think about what holds back us today, right? It's the number of discoveries in the medical field. Every discovery really moves the industry forward by many years, right? So, for example, mRNA, the technology was a breakthrough, but that's a single discovery. Single discovery saved us from COVID virus, right? And certainly mRNA technology is not just a single effect. It impacts the whole field. Or gene editing, that kind of breakthrough. It's just that new therapies can solve so many problems, but we still don't understand what causes Alzheimer's. We still don't understand how to fix it, right? My imagination is these things are, with AI's help, we're getting very close to these things, right? Because the number of discoveries in the end is a function of the number of PhDs in the field, the amount of funding they can get, and also some natural processes, because certain experiments like a clinical trial do take time, no matter how much AI can speed up, right? But it's very easy to see that from today's world, the pace of progress, to 10x of discoveries per year, because every discovery then gets multiplied into 100 applications. So even 10x speed of discovery can get to 1,000 times of applications, right? So this is why I'm most hopeful and most optimistic on the medical field.
Dr. Amir has a question right there.
So thanks, JJ. I have a comment and a question. The comment is on the lighter side. You talked about that software RipLink, which basically gives you the output of the HR. I don't want that software ever to be used for faculty members, but just that's on the lighter side. As a faculty member, I understand the steepness of it and the profoundness of this technology. I get that, and I think you explained that very well, and what is known, what is not known. As a faculty member, could you comment on, and being in the Silicon Valley is, how do you think or extrapolate the skill set requirement of undergrads might change, and universities are awfully bad in reacting and responding to that, but the steepness of that is that we as faculty need to be very cognizant. Do you have some sense of the pivot that needs to be made for the skill set requirement in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Thank you for the question. I think 2 years is easier to imagine than even 5 years now, because the rate of development. Right? So let me first focus on that, and then we can imagine a longer future. So first of all, it's not necessarily a fundamental shift to how we think about education, because even before AI, when we think about what's the most important skill to learn in schools, very often we use the word, I think I'm repeating this word, which is critical thinking. Right? That's not going to change. And if anything, critical thinking becomes the only skill anyone needs. In the past, depending on the field you are in, like for example, the mega field, right, or the legal field, in addition to critical thinking and the ability to reason, you also need to know a lot. So you need a vast knowledge, right? Especially if you want to become a medical professional, you want to become a doctor, an MD. It's not just schooling. You also need to then get into internship. You need to get into residency, and then you become, you have to do fellowship of it sometimes, and then eventually you become a doctor, right? The years of training, a lot of it is like, gaining experience, but also acquiring a vast amount of knowledge. This is because to diagnose any disease, to understand everyone's condition, you need that kind of knowledge background. And that applies to many other fields as well. Knowledge is part of the training. In the world of AI, knowledge at some point becomes a commodity, because you may, we are already getting to that world, right? Because you can use ChatGPT, you can say, oh, I'm facing this patient, here's the medical history, here's the, it's funny, I'm using medical analogies so much, even though I don't know anything about medicine. But let's just, humor me for a second. You have all these data, and you can put into ChatGPT, and very likely it will give you a reasonable answer of what the condition is, right? And very often, people have done study that the latest version of ChatGPT, they can outperform the average doctor in diagnosis, right? Now, but mainly because this AI model we're talking about, large language model, they have a vast amount of data. They're trained by a vast amount of data. They can see all the patterns, and they have perfect retrieval, because humans, even if we learned 20 years worth of knowledge, right, very often in the moment, we can't think of the right answer. AI does not have that problem. It has perfect retrieval, may not have the perfect precision, but then that judgment comes in, right? So in the future, the doctor's role is less about knowledge but more about the critical thinking to understand, okay, AI is giving me 3 answers, which one is the most likely the right one, right? And that kind of a skill set across all fields is eventually the only skill you need. You're not, trying to memorize things. The only reason to memorize things is only if that memorization help you with your critical thinking.
Thank you, JJ. Let's take one more question. Please, hand raises. If there is a student, we should definitely get, is there a student human? Yes, a human I see over there.
Hello, I'm a communication and design student at Habib University. So my question was, first initially analyzed tech industry and computer sciences. They have rigorously been part of people who are rigorously trained in AI and technology. They have the practical skills to work with computer sciences. But now that AI is leaking into normal societies, people who don't have formal education as well, they're also interacting with AI. My question was that, is there any way that in the future, people who don't have formal education, or even people who are not trained in technology, designers, artists, will they have a hand in the practical development of AI? Not just interacting with ChatGPT, but actually saying that this is the kind of AI that I want, or this is the kind of feature that I want in my AI. And the previous AI models that have been made, assuming that they have not been made by getting normal people's surveys and what they want in their AI models. So yeah.
This is not just a great question, this is a brilliant one. I think that we are at the very beginning of this revolution, right? So because today, the cost of training a large language model like the level of GPT-4, it takes, GPT-4 I think took about $10 billion, if I remember correctly, or maybe less, maybe it's $1 billion. And then about 4 trillion tokens on the internet, and then many months, right, to train such a model. So the cost is prohibitively high. That makes it impossible to say that everyone have their own model. So we have to use a pre-trained model, right? The upside of this is pre-trained models work very well. GPT-4 can not just you can use it to answer questions about war and peace, right? But also you can, war and peace meaning the fiction war and peace. But also you can use it to answer questions in the mathematical field, right? It's very universal. But the downside is there's the science part of the large language model that is truly universal to because it's objective answer. But when it comes to subjective topics, such as what does fairness mean? What does fairness mean in this context? Right? What are the priorities in human society? Those questions, GPT-4 will also give you an answer. But how do you know that answer is right and wrong, and how do you know if it's right for you, right? The process of training these models is after dumping all the internet knowledge into it, the scientists understand that a lot of garbage on the internet as well. The garbage is in the model, right? So after the training, there's this process called the RHLF. It's reinforcement learning with human feedback. And that's how you teach the model how to align better with human values, how to avoid biases, how to adhere to the principles of democracy, for example, right? But which set of humans are providing these feedbacks? You probably all remember this incident at Google when they put out Gemini 1.5. You ask Gemini to draw a picture of German soldiers in World War II. They give you images of black soldiers. Certainly that's not historically factual. The reason to do that is, the reason that happens is because their reinforcement learning process, the humans providing feedback, overemphasized certain aspects, right? And no matter which set of human you use to do this process, it may not be perfectly aligned with your own belief, with your own value. So the only answer for a fair world is everyone should have a choice of having their own model. If your child, as parents, right, when you raise your child, you want to teach your children your own values. In the future, we can imagine that a lot of the kids, they will be taught by technology, by AI. Because who wouldn't want to have a personal tutor? Forget about one tutor. Who wouldn't want 1,000 experts to tutor their child, right? But where do these tutors come from? Whose model is it? Don't parents want the models to all align with their own values, right? That's the world that will happen, because the cost of training goes down exponentially. One example, like just a few days ago, China launched 2 models and surprised the West because there's this chip embargo against the Chinese. So they don't have access to the best GPUs. They don't have enough GPUs, right? But very often people say necessity is the father of all, or parents of all inventions, right? They made it possible to train models, really, really good models, very cheaply. And I think that that's only a matter of time before everyone will have their own model, not just the one. You can have 1,000 of your own models perfectly aligned with your own values, right?
Thank
We
you.
can take more questions. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can I go
Go
ahead?
for it.
So I keep thinking about the business intent of these companies like ChatGPT, because when you think about, let's say, Netflix, we understand that they revolutionized the whole entertainment, streaming services by, ending the need for video rentals. And when you think about Apple products, Steve Jobs, that they brought the let's say internet and computing services in the palm of your hands with the products that they launched. But what I fail to understand is the core business intent of the AI companies. So any inside view would help.
I think that the developed world, the system is a capitalistic system. Right? So all business exists to make profit, to maximize shareholder value. They may say a set of things, but in the end, the decision will largely be driven by seeking profit and maximizing profit. So this is how, for example, Meta works, right? Why does the social media from Facebook work certain ways? What message they amplify? They don't have any ill intent, but in the end, it's about to maximize engagement so that they can maximize advertising income, right? So using AI, most of the institutions, most of the companies, right, in commercial pursuit, they were focusing on that as well. So how will, for example, a company like Netflix evolve? I think that we can predict that there will be more and more AI-generated content at some point. And the AI-generated content will be, the difference between AI-generated content and today's content is you now can afford having programs that is not only selected, personalized for you, because today, if you go to Netflix, you already feel, I love all these shows that the app is presenting to me because it uses this algorithm called personalization to figure out if you have watched these shows, then it means that you most likely will love the other shows. But every show is still produced for everyone else, right? We are going to enter a world because you see that Sora and other models, we're getting a point that it's very easy to generate videos as well, right? And at some point, a single person may be able to produce an entire movie that is high production quality. So you can imagine that Netflix, the content is not just selected for you, but they are created for you, single person. But how is that going to, what kind of content will they create? They have a choice, but most likely, for most companies, the choice is to produce content that is the most addictive, because they are all in the business of seeking, the largest amount of time you spend with the app, because for Netflix today, they already have different tiers of subscription. For the lower tier, they have ad-supported subscription. Then more engagement means that you get more chance to be exposed to ads. They have more income, right? The higher tiers, ad-free, you pay more. For those people, why do they also want you to watch as much as possible? Because the more you watch, that means that the less likely you will churn. You will stop subscribing, right? So they are in the business of maximizing the number of hours you spend on. If anything, if you think about what's happening in the boardroom, in the executive suite of a company like Netflix, every day they're thinking about what is their competitor doing. And they're competing not just other streaming businesses, they're competing with TikTok, right? It's attention span, yes. Because the more time a person spends on TikTok is less time spent with Netflix. Everyone has 24 hours, right? So how do you make the content as addictive as possible is their mission. And now just they have a new tool. And so, certainly we all want to think about the positive side, but negative side of AI technology is also very obvious. Because if you can generate the content that is really tailored to you, so personalized, and its goal is to retain your attention, then you naturally figure out, okay, how many minutes before we give you another hit of dopamine from the content? So that you're 100% hooked that you never even want to stand up. That kind of future is a little scary, right? But at the same time, the same technology, the positive side is now you also have a chance to, because if you think about how we influence other people, why is somebody like Elon Musk have so much influence in the world, right? What is his core skill set? Certainly he's trained in STEM, he understands a little bit of physics, but he's not the best physicist, right? His core skill set is he's amazing storyteller. He tells people that he has this dream to go to Mars for humans to become multiplanetary species, and he keeps telling that story, right? That kind of power, it's now possible that every individual can have that power. The person who cares the most about the climate change can now tell the best story using AI tool, can produce a TV series on his own. If he can tell a better story, he can move other people to follow that cause, right? So these things are coming, it's just that, I hope we have more time, and my thinking is we do have a little bit of time for us to shape the technology so that we can use it to do more good than harm.
The gentleman at the back.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amir Hussain. I'm from NED University. Somewhat I would start, it's not a big question, I would start with my mentor and mentor of many people, Mirza Ghalib, who said that बस के दुश्वार है इंसान का हर काम को आसान होना इंसान को मुयस्सर नहीं इंसान होना. Means I think your moderator will explain this to you in Urdu. But my question is, after failing to make humans humans, we have now started to make machines human. That is like my one of the big word. But as part of it, we are all concerns. I'm a big fan of Dr. Eugenia Chang. You might know him, a mathematician. I would quote here, and she says, think there is a lot of fear about robots and artificial intelligence among some people, whereas I am more afraid about natural stupidity. So what I feel like that, we all are running after AI, and I still somehow vibrating in my mind the Bertrand Russell that men are born ignorant, not stupid. They are made stupid by education. So somehow we are deriving it into a state of stupidity. I just heard from you even that you are more concerned about collaboration, thinking of new creativity, jointly making mathematics and humanities sitting together. I have, after reading the Dr. Eugenia Chang quote, I'm a big supporter to study natural stupidity more in the everywhere in the processes, and try to make that stupidity work. I mean, AI should work and replace that human stupidity instead of making a whole human and replacing the whole human into a machine. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on this, JJ? Thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I will make it short. I think that we, in the end, we are all humans, and we have our faults, right? One type of fault is humans are, we're inherently lazy to a degree. And when we face a choice between, something that requires effort and something is effortless, just entertainment and easy consumption, we very often choose the other, right? And as a result, if you keep doing that and at scale, you do get into this sense of, using your word, stupidity, right? But one is, I'd say, that is something that is teachable. If there are, among us, none of us are perfect, but there are people who are more curious than others. And that curiosity can fix these problems. It's interesting that it's not just the humans, machines also have this problem because garbage in, garbage out, right? But again, I want to quote Elon Musk, even though you may not like his politics, but he is a smart person. And everyone is building cutting-edge models, and he started XAI to also build his model. But everyone needs to solve this so-called alignment problem, right? Like, how do you make sure that the eventual AI, once it becomes super intelligence, its values aligned with humans and not instead kill humans? So his answer to alignment is he wants to imbue just one thing in the goal of his model. His model, if failing everything else, he wants to do one thing, which is make the model curious. Because his belief is if a model is fundamentally curious, then it will keep trying to seek a better truth. And I think that not just applied to that machine, it applies to all of us as well. I earlier talked about critical thinking is the most important skill set for people to learn, for people to train on. I think that before that, I need to correct myself. I think curiosity is even more fundamental, because critical thinking can be trained from being curious. Right? So how do we solve the problem of stupidity being the most common denominator? I think it's to promote curiosity.
That's why we do e-learning and relearning, that we throw away what we have knowledge to put new one. That is new concept, e-learning and relearning.
Second row.
So I have a question for JJ right here. So I know the questions which are coming from the younger generation, everybody, humans are afraid of the unknown, right? And I think we have something exciting in the younger generation. They are less afraid than we are. They're actually more curious and open to learning and less afraid, which is great. That's why we are at Habib, and these kids will do better than us. But the question I have for you, JJ, we've been all over Pakistan recently, you've traveled all over the world. We all being in Silicon Valley or even in Habib University, we are talking about AI, we are talking about tech. There's a massive amount of world which is not connected. I mean, are we looking at Hunger Games in 5 years? I mean, what is your feedback on, you went to some rural areas, they don't even care about technology. But people who are feeding the AI have their own perspectives. So are we leaving the people who are not capable of having this connection totally in the Stone Ages, while the rest of the world is going to go with light, speed of light? I'm just curious what your thought is in that.
Thank you, Malka. Really thoughtful question, and I want to say that that's one thing that gives me the most hope. Just to sort of like to understand technology, very often we need to look at past technology, past generation of technology, right? So, internet was a great leap forward, because there's a world before internet, there's a world after internet. Internet really changed humanity, right? But if you think about the beginning of internet, internet started to become mainstream in the mid-90s and the early 2000s in the US and the developed world. It took about 10 to 15 years before internet becomes mainstream in developing world. And that gap created a huge lag on the economics development, on the human development in these developing worlds. So if anything, the gap between those two worlds in a way was enlarged because of technology, right? But then fast forward to mobile technology. Mobile technology started to become mainstream in the US early 2010s, right? And early to mid 2010s. And it only took about 5 years, right, give or take, for mobile technology to really saturate the developing world as well. And if now we imagine that mobile phones didn't exist, what would Pakistan look like? What would China look like? The reason that we saw so much forward development of human potential was because of the access to mobile technology. Because all of a sudden, not only, you don't necessarily even need to broadband Wi-Fi at home. With a mobile phone, you can be online anywhere you go, right? And including to remote villages. These days, remote villages, it used to be that you need a dial modem or you need some kind of a landline to go to a remote village. Now, again, because of Elon Musk and the SpaceX, all of a sudden, you can have satellite internet access with a mobile phone. That impact is really profound, right? And now we think about AI today. The incredible thing is these pre-trained models, the frontier models, the best models, they are available to most of us around the world, any corner where we can have internet access for free. And it's the same model, effectively the same model that the senior analysts at a Fortune 100 company in the US have access to. So that gap is now shrinking to almost zero. I don't know if that's going to continue to be the case as we move forward, if these companies, their practice is going to keep the models open, access to be free, but I'm very hopeful they will continue. And if that's the case, it means that even for people who are illiterate, they can have enhanced intelligence now. Like, for example, a villager in a remote corner in Africa, in Sub-Sahara, if they have access to mobile phone, if they can speak their own language, they can interact with a voice model to learn how to navigate some government policy and apply for a loan for their small business. That kind of power never existed before, right? And because of the ubiquity of this new tech, I think that in many areas, the gap will shrink. And this is the most uplifting possible technology in our lifetime. Certainly, you can also say that in other aspects, the gap may be further enlarged because in the West, with better education, with the community that is thinking about AI and using AI every day, those communities will move farther ahead compared to small villages, right? But this is something we can do because this kind of conversation in Pakistan, I can see that the mindset and what people are thinking, if it's as if I'm having the same conversation in Silicon Valley. There's not really that much a difference in terms of people's mindset, right? Now we just need to somehow work together to enlarge the community because this group of people in Pakistan is probably still a small minority. So how do we use this as a core to expand to a larger community is something we can do, and that is the most critical, important thing.
We have time for one more question, two if we keep them brief. All right, the gentleman in the front.
Thank you. My name is Faisal, and I'm a transformation professional in a bank in Pakistan. Excellent discussion, and I think we all understand the developments happening in the AI world. We also know that a lot of disruption is going to happen pretty soon. AI is generating AI itself. That's going to be quite a thing to see. But my question is around, you talked about the human element of it and the empathy part built into the models as well, being built into the models. But what do you foresee, or what do you think about, will AI be having a conscious of its own? Are we too far from it or too close to it? Thank you.
Okay, if that is indeed the last question, then that is very fitting. The honest answer is we don't know. And the reason we don't know is because we don't understand human consciousness. And until we do, we will never understand what it means for machines to be conscious, right? The only thing we can say is we want to treat this kind of technology with respect, which means that also with enormous thoughtfulness and care. Because we don't understand how, because if you dissect the brain, we understand there are neurons, right? These building blocks. But where does the thought arise? Where does the sentience and the consciousness arise? From these simple building blocks, we don't know. it's either that there's some secret sauce we really don't understand, or it's a function of scale. And if it is truly a function of scale, then it's hard to predict at some point whether what we today understand as consciousness, whether they will arise in a machine as well, right? So the only thing I can say is we're dealing with a technology we don't fully understand, so we have to all be really thoughtful and keep asking these questions. You know, I can guarantee you today's AI is not, right? If one day it gets close to that, I also don't understand if it is a good thing or bad thing. So we need to keep our eyes really fully open and always try to stay ahead with this kind of thinking. And the good news is, in the US now there is a set of people, and many of them are the leading practitioners of AI. They are all sounding the alarm. They are all understanding, because they know that we are quickly approaching a point where these things become truly capable, having superhuman capabilities. And if we don't fully understand how they work, how they are what they will do, and whether they will be aligned with human value, it could be disaster, right? But because now there's a set of people working together and keep raising this as the biggest concern, and there are companies where the employees are all raising this question. The good news is, unlike the crypto world, the people working in today's AI world on the cutting edge, most of them are some of the best human beings. So, you know, let's be mindful, but at the same time also be hopeful.
We are on time, right, Akhtar? Are we? Can we take one more, or is that the end? Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Sorry?
Okay, let's take the question from the student at the back in the green scarf.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
No. Did you turn on the button at the bottom? There's a button at the bottom.
At the bottom, which you need to keep on pressing.
Hello.
Mine is also nowhere.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Fatma Azhar and I'm a student. So my question is a bit about law, but also about innovation, invention, and our humanness. So I'll just narrate the story so we're all on the same page. So in Dr. Thaler, he made an AI, Dabus, D-A-B-U-S. And he used that AI to make his invention. All right. So he presented his case to receive a patent in the UK Supreme Court and in the USA. In the UK Supreme Court, his patent was denied because it said that the inventor needs to be human and that AI-generated inventions cannot be qualified for patents because they're not tangible. However, in the USA, the invention did receive a patent, but Dabus could not be named as the inventor needed to be human. However, in South Africa, Dabus was named the inventor and the invention did receive the patent. So you can see there's a lot of inconsistency in the law regarding AI, and now more than ever we need more and more laws to regulate that. So it causes a question that in one country, it completely denies recognizing AI inventions. That could raise the concern that that is preventing innovation. But however, it is also protecting our humanness about reserving the inventor right for a human. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this matter, and that what would be the best way where we can also encourage innovation, invention that will help the economy and development, but also protecting our humanness and that title of inventors. Thank you.
I think that, you know, when I was saying that how do we stay ahead of in this world, in the world of AI, you know, I was saying that attend Habib University. I was not lying, right? So I think, you know, this is such a thoughtful question. I didn't know about this, but I can't think of a better example, right? This particular case, I don't know how this individual used the AI to do the invention, because my own thinking is he probably only used the AI as a tool to facilitate his invention, right? It's not like somehow AI one day wakes up and decide to create this invention. So in that sense, anyone who uses a tool to create something, that person is still the author. Just like, you know, if I use a word processor to write an email, it's not that the word processor is the author, it's me, right? Now, the way he filed the patent by specifically saying this is invented by AI is interesting. I think that his goal is probably not to get the patent approved. His goal is to actually test the boundary of the laws, right? So in a way, he's almost like trolling these groups. But it is a very interesting experiment, because in a way it also tells me this is how it should work. Because laws, other than universal values, laws should be created in the local context. Right? So, you know, there is a reason why laws are created to say different things across different geos, across different communities, because that is aligned with their value, right? Certainly, if it is not, then that community has the responsibility to change that law. And I think that AI, the regulations related to AI is so, because it's such a new thing, it's moving fast, nothing is perfect. But what I can imagine a future world is, even after we fully understand how to deal with AI, the laws may still be different in different jurisdictions. So that is not necessarily a bug, but a feature of our world. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Let's say that different jurisdictions keep their different laws for AI regulation. But however, we understand that AI is a global phenomenon, and AI inventions or work is used on the international scale. So would it be better to have unified international laws for AI?
Yeah, I think that to a degree, yes, because I certainly hope that the true alignment is done globally, because there are certain principles that is universal, right? For example, to say that all AIs should not harm humans, that's something that everyone can agree to. And there's a set of principles like that that is fundamental, that should be not only agreed to around the globe, but also enforced consistently across all the different countries. But at the same time, a lot of the laws govern how things are used in their society, right? Like even before AI, patent laws are not universal. Like, certain patents are only granted in the US, but not in UK. That's very common. And I think that will continue that way. So, to really answer your question is, it really depends on which set of principles.
And also on the type of invention. If the
Right.
invention doesn't create an AI model, that's an invention.
True.
Okay, let's just take one more question. The gentleman at the back in the black mask has his hand up for a while.
Finally. Hello. Yeah. We backbenchers were unfortunately treated as stepsons, perhaps. But anyways, I have two quick questions. One, what you see the future of degrees, undergrad university degrees, master's university degrees, where are they going? And another question is about the algorithms. What do you think, what is actually taking so long and that we are not reaching to master algorithm? We are using Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, we are using Gemini 2.0, we are using ChatGPT, we are using Meta's Llama 3. Well, why not one master algorithm? Especially, for example, if I want to use it in PCB, if I want to use it in law, if I want to use it in healthcare, why do I have to go in the, and retrain all of it all over again instead of using one master algorithm while the knowledge has already been democratized?
There are two questions in this, so JJ, maybe you take it as you like. No, you answer both, but then do it however you like.
Okay, I think I only get the second question. What was the first question?
The first question was how is the education sector changing? How's the master's degree, the bachelor degree? Yeah.
That's right, okay. Let me try to answer the second question first. About why do we need different models and so on. I don't think that's the case yet. If anything, like, if we think about the AI models before large language models, that was true. Because if you want to, say, build a model to estimate, like in the US, there's this thing called a Zillow. Not sure if you've heard of it. It estimates the home prices of each house, right? And you give it a zip code, neighborhood, square footage, number of bedrooms, a few different parameters. Then it gives you a number to say, okay, I believe that the house is valued at this price. That model is trained using data like that from vast amount of data. That model serves a single purpose. That is to predict a house price. Whether or not it does a good job is a different question. It probably doesn't. But people use it, right? You cannot use that model to make a shopping recommendation. The reason is because in the past, the models are specialized. LLM is a fundamental change of how models work. Because it is trained with large amount of written texts across all different disciplines, all different topics, it is really a description of our world. So we're training the model to really understand our world. And that kind of model is way more universal. So this is why you can use the model to answer medical questions or to answer engineering questions, right? So that's actually a huge leap forward. Now, the question of why do I need to use different models such as GPT-4 or Llama or Anthropic Claude, right? it's not because they are fundamentally different. It's because they have different strengths. Because just like car manufacturers, they all make SUVs. But every car manufacturer's SUV has their strength and weakness. Some are roomier, some are more horsepower, some are more comfortable ride, right? Same thing with AI model. At any different time, they have their own strengths and weakness. So this is why practitioners, very often, they use multiple of them. And very often, they even use a process of iteratively judging the result from one model. And sometimes they use one model as the judge, the other one as the one to generate the answer, right? So that's why there is this method of using a combination of these models. It doesn't mean that, there's somehow a specialization. So hopefully that answers your second question. The first question about what does it mean to be an undergraduate, what does it mean to be a master and a PhD, right? I think that in the past, before AI, it's about a specialization. It's about how much knowledge you acquire. This is why, I don't have a PhD, unlike many of you. But in the US, when you need to get a PhD, eventually you need to do this test. What's the test name? It's not GRE. GRE is for entrance into graduate school, but there is this test to...
The proposal exam and the defense.
It's basically to test your comprehensive knowledge of this
field.
field.
Comprehensive exam.
Yeah. And then why do we do that? It's because we see, if you want to be recognized as an expert in this field, then you need to know everything, right, of this field. When we now have AI, the amount of knowledge you need to remember becomes less important. But at the same time, your ability to really discern what is the right idea and what is the wrong idea. Because AI, the way today AI works is you ask a question to say, give me 10 ideas. It'll give you 20 ideas. Right? It's easy to give you the quantity, but may not be quality. Then how do you use your expertise to find the quality among the quantity? That is where the training comes from. I think that for a very long time, you still need to be trained to be an expert in the field, to be a PhD in math, in order to use a math model effectively to understand. Let me just give you a very concrete example. We're now getting to a point that GPT-4 001, now the 03, they are very good at coming up with original proof of math questions, right? But when you look at that, how do you know it's the right proof? That's where the expertise comes from. Because it's actually very hard for somebody to imagine a proof. But it's relatively easier to look at 3 proofs and understand which one's right. But in order to know which one's right, you still need to have deep knowledge in that field. Right? And that is the training of different levels of knowledge comes from, the different expertise come from. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, JJ. You were very generous with your answers. Over to Aksa. Yes.
Thank you, Munira. How was it? You all loved it? So honestly, at least I didn't want this conversation to end, especially the questions those were coming, oh my God. So JJ, now you know you're at Habib, right? So it's the holistic approach towards problem solving and the emerging technologies and everything that is there. It's the breadth of knowledge that really matters here. I would now like to invite Dr. Amir Hassan to give a vote of thanks. Academic Affairs Vice President, Habib University.
Thank you, Aksa. Those of you who know me, I carry my emotions on sleeve. I had written something for JJ based on my interaction and and the topic. But I want to say it was a very profound last 75, 80 minutes in this Tariq Rafi Hall. And I think today is the day when the faculty returns to the campus. We had our monthly faculty meeting today. And I don't think we could have started this semester with a better topic and a better speaker around some of the profoundness of this topic. And while at this age and at this point, I thought, so where would it go? What would happen? These are some very daunting questions. And I don't know how much of this is relevant, but I'm going to leverage MLK, who did say, just to ease some of the anxiety that I'm having after this, that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And hopefully, as like many technology in the past, has promised to be an equalizer, and there was a question around that, and hopefully this, in some sense, would create that. I also wanted to say, I said this to JJ, and I don't know, the young folks may not get this joke, but for people of my age, in the back old days of Bollywood Indian cinema, there was always a JJ in the movie who would be the mafia don, right? The name JJ, who would control the underworld. But our friend JJ is somewhat similar, but he's the dawn of technology and innovation in creating tech startups, and now leads the discourse of how AI will shape the tech world around us. But the only difference in the perceived dawn and this dawn is, and at this guest rightly pointed out, that with this profound knowledge and understanding, his ability to be so down to earth and humble and accommodative. So this is a Sufi dawn, right? So let's give him a round of applause. And my 2 cents would be that while similar disruptions in technology in the past have somewhat awakened academia, but never before the technology curve has been so steep and so profound. While the AI revolution might not change, as JJ said, the university's mission and learning goals in the foreseeable future, and at the moment, most of the faculty members are pretty much trying to see how the course learning outcomes can be attained, and that's where the thought is. But I think there is a profound awakening for faculty and academia, and Habib University faculty has their job cut out, that in order to attain that mission and university learning goals, definitely the how part of it would need to be modulated and would need to pivot. And with that, I would like to thank all of you. I know a lot of you have been here from far distances. I'm thankful to Junaid and a lot of folks who made this happen. I'm also thankful to our wonderful moderators, Basit and Munira, who did just an awesome job. And a very special thanks to our speaker today, JJ, the Sufi Innovation Don. So I also wanted to welcome JJ's family to be here, and it was great to host you at Habib University, and it was great to meet your to spouse or dad, the Sufi Don.
Thank you, Dr. Amir Hassan. I would like to request you to stay back here to present a memento to our chief guest, JJ Zhuang. Yes, I would like to invite Mr. JJ to come and receive the memento of acknowledgement and appreciation. We're really thankful to you for spending time here with Habib community and students and the faculty. And we have some refreshments. Our volunteers will escort you downstairs where we have refreshments for you, and would like to request